All right, before we get to third down, a couple of interesting emails. Skip, you're a good guy, but you conveniently miss an entire week when the Cavs are dominating the Pistons and then just happen to show back up when they have a bad night against the Spurs. Please leave and come back in a week when the Cavs have won 4 straight in the championship. That's from Kirby.
Jay, I'm not that good, right, to pick my nights.
Still, I say the most conveniently timed week of vacation in the history of television. You and I were just talking about this in the green room a second ago, and I'm glad an emailer brings this up. LeBron is in for the biggest test of his career. I think the Cavaliers need to post him up and move him around. If only we had Jalen Rose at the 3 spot. Let's start the rumor now. What do you think about that, Skip?
So that's why you've been so nice to LeBron. You want to be his teammate next year.
I am an NBA free agent. We'll
you know,
see
you
what
would
happens.
fit in there, and that's really, they don't have that leader that knows how to win.
True.
We'll see.
All right. Would that be hard for you, by the way, a Detroit guy playing in Cleveland?
It's all business.
No.
Yeah.
If I can get a championship, I'll go play anywhere.
Well said. We start third down. Very serious topic. The case, the investigation into Michael Vick has now turned federal. Federal authorities have opened their own independent investigation of this dogfighting allegations that happened on a property in Virginia owned by Michael Vick. Let's read some quotes here, and then we'll get some reaction to them. This is from Gerald Poindexter. He's the Commonwealth Attorney at Virginia. What is foreign to me is the federal government getting into a dogfighting case. I know it's been done, but what's driving this? He went on to say, as we turn the page, is it the boy's celebrity? Would they have done this if it wasn't Michael Vick? It is an interesting question. And furthermore, his cousin now has come out and said some interesting things. I want him to know that everything going on is really my fault. They're just making Michael look like something he's not. That's from his cousin, Devon Body. All right, you guys, you've heard that. Jalen, you start on this one. What's your reaction?
I think I want to quote the great American philosopher, comedian Dave Chappelle. And I think this is a case of when keeping it real goes wrong. See, a lot of times when you're an athlete, you get drafted to the NFL from Virginia Tech. You're still Michael Vick. You still have family, you still have friends, you still have a lot of people that you look out for. You look out for their best interests, try to make sure they got somewhere to live, something to drive, things that they try to put their life on the right path. And unfortunately, this probably is one of those people that didn't get it, that still hasn't gotten it, and because of that, Michael's in the situation that he's in, if what his cousin says is true.
Okay, so how do you feel about whether his celebrity is driving the investigation?
I think the celebrity is driving the investigation. The reasons why, because the feds are involved. It goes from being something that's talked about locally to now the federal government involved. Obviously, the federal government has been involved in dogfighting cases before, but they're really only involved with this one because of Michael Vick.
Okay, but the point here, the big point is that somebody in a very high place decided that Michael Vick's celebrity was not driving the local investigation, that the local yokel prosecutor maybe is dragging his feet because he's trying to protect the hometown hero who's Michael Vick from that area in Virginia. Am I right?
Quite possibly, yeah.
Okay.
But I can't tell they're dragging their feet because we're talking about it every day. It's on national news, yet he has not been convicted of anything yet.
Well, he hadn't been charged.
He's already sold the home and everything.
Okay, but evidence and testimony, even from anonymous informants, it screams for at least a charge. And somebody in a high place said, yeah, okay, let's swoop in here and take this over.
If it wasn't Michael Vick, are the feds involved?
Yeah. I think that's why they're involved, because they're looking at this, and again, this prosecutor Poindexter also played the race card, but maybe somebody upstairs said, okay, maybe because he is black, that he's being overly protective of the black superstar.
Is this a bad thing for Michael Vick that the feds have moved in?
It's a terrible thing.
I think it's a terrible thing for the feds to move in because it becomes more national, becomes a government issue, and the punishment now allows him to be an example. I think now because the feds are involved, whatever happens in this situation, whether he's found guilty to be involved in dogfighting or not, it allows him to be a victim, and that's unfortunate.
If you're going to advise Michael Vick at this point, someone who's been a pro athlete, you've been around, you know what's going on, what would you tell him?
Well, what I tell Michael Vick right now, live, learn, and move on. That's really all he can do. At the end of the day, only he knows and all of the other people in his circle know whether he was truly involved in this. If he was not involved in this, being a God-fearing man, he has nothing to worry about. If he is involved in this and the feds are involved now, I think it's going to come out.
And I would advise him to spare no expense for a defense attorney.
Get a good lawyer.
Yes.
Yeah, well, he can afford one.
I just hope those dogs aren't buried in the backyard.
Well,
not a pretty sight.
they're going to find out. Yeah, they'll probably find out. And even if they do find them, they still have some ways to go to connect the dots that Michael Vick knew what was going on. And that's what the challenge is here. All right, as somebody who's having a lot more fun this NFL offseason is Tony Romo. He's out hobnobbing with celebrities. He's dating country-singing superstars. And there is some question as to whether or not that's a good thing that Tony Romo is got all this extracurricular stuff going on. I mean, he's living a life, too. You can't practice football 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Jerry Jones actually says about all of this that he welcomes it. Jerry says that, there's an element of entertainment in football and that, the publicity that comes with the automatic question of what he's not doing when he's out there doing all of that stuff is good stuff, and that's spoken like Jerry Jones. Do you agree with Jerry here that that's okay, that he's making news for all these other reasons?
I think it's very good. When you're the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, that's a prestigious position. He's in the position. He's playing the part. He's had a great season last season, and now he's also looking for the future. He's trying to be the next Troy Aikman. You see Troy Aikman, he was a figure beyond football, and Tony Romo is trying to do the same thing. I have no problems with it. Being a Cowboy fan,
there it is.
Hey,
now you admit it.
Being a Cowboy fan, I hated seeing Carrie Underwood on the field before a game. But what he does in this offseason with his free time, I totally have no problem with.
Well, wait a second. Are we talking about a Troy Aikman here or Roger Staubach? See, my problem is if this kid had earned his offseason celebrity, I have no problem with it. But he didn't because, Jalen, I have never, in all the time I've watched the NFL and all the Cowboy teams I covered once upon a time, seen a more astonishing rise and sudden fall as this little Tony Romo had in the middle of this season. And remember, he finishes going 2-4, 7 touchdowns to 8 interceptions in the last 6 games, including the playoff loss. And obviously and unfortunately, he personally cost them the game by botching the snap. The next thing I know, he's a judge on Miss Universe. Are you kidding me? Dating Carrie Underwood? And I'm saying he is creating pressure and expectation for next year I don't think he'll be able to live up to.
But at the end of the day, what is he going to be judged by? He's going to be judged by how he performs on the field. He's going to be judged by how the Dallas Cowboys record is, and he's going to be judged whether they get to the Super Bowl. As long as those things happen, he should be able to enjoy his offseason, date who he wants to date, be at whatever contest he wants to judge. And he probably was the reason why Miss Universe failed, because she probably was looking at him.
And I get the feeling he's just trying to embrace his 15 minutes because they're almost up.
Well, if you're a Cowboy fan, you hope not.
That's it for Third Down. Ahead and Fourth Down. Amanda Beard takes off her clothes for Playboy. Is that a good thing or a bad thing for women's sports? Skip and Jalen will debate. Also, from Friday's LPGA Championship to Game 2 of the NBA Finals on Sunday, this weekend has something for everyone on the television, and our couch potato will stop by to tell us what is worth watching.